Good morning, dear friends. Friends in the Dharma. Sound is okay? Great. The calendar tells me it's the 14th of July. If we were not in COVID times, I would be on retreat with 24 people in Nelson, British Columbia. Which just goes to show that when one door closes, another opens. Here we are. I have a splinter from working in the garden that's being a little irritating here, but I can live with it. So I'm Robert Beatty. I'm coming to you electronically from Eastern Beaverton, Oregon, United States. North America, planet Earth, Milky Way galaxy. This is and if you've not been there, or even if you have, take a look. There's a lot happening through PIMC, and the other teachers are busy doing their broadcasts, and there's lots to peruse there. So we get up early. I was up just before the sun this morning. And we gathered together, which is one of the criteria the Buddha said for the existence of his sasana, of his offering of the teachings over time, is that the seekers, the pilgrims will rise early and gather together to practice. We're part of a noble heritage. So let's begin with the familiar chanting of the refuges. In a world which is really remarkably out of control, having a little trouble with the guitar strap here. Oh. Yes. I didn't check the guitar sound. I hope it's okay. How's that sound on the guitar? Okay? That little sequence of notes is really beautiful, I find. How they all come out of nowhere, live a little while, and then disappear. And we get to dance with them. We get to engage with them. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. 'Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya. I love that little ritual. It comes to mind for me many times during the day. Remember, I spoke of working with pain yesterday, and I'm going to continue in that thread a bit today. Yeah, we're all muted. I have a poem, but I have lost it. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. My goodness, I'm doing things out of order. Oh, sneeze coming. I'm going to mute myself. I once heard a Tibetan teacher decades ago say something that made sneezing more interesting. And it was that there are several opportune moments for awakening: death, orgasm, and sneezing. When one loses control. So every time I sneeze, it's like I'm ready. It's like, is this it? And then it's just a sneeze. Oh well. This is a poem I've had for a long time. It's by a fellow called Jack Gilbert. A brief for the defense. Sorrow everywhere, slaughter everywhere. If babies are not starving someplace, they're starving somewhere else, with flies in their nostrils. But we enjoy our lives because that's what God wants. Otherwise, the mornings before summer dawn would not be made so fine. The Bengal tiger would not be fashioned so miraculously well. The poor women at the fountain are laughing together between the suffering they have known and the awfulness in their future, smiling and laughing while somebody in the village is very sick. There is laughter every day in the terrible streets of Calcutta, and the women laugh in the cages of Bombay. If we deny our happiness, resist our satisfaction, we lessen the importance of their deprivation. We must risk delight. We can do without pleasure, but not delight, not enjoyment. We must have the stubbornness to accept our gladness in the ruthless furnace of this world, To make injustice the only measure of our attention is to praise the devil. If the locomotive of the Lord runs us down, we should give thanks that the end had magnitude. We must admit there will be music despite everything. We stand at the prow again of a small ship anchored late at night in the tiny port, looking over to the sleeping island. The waterfront is 3 shuttered cafes and 1 naked light burning. To hear the faint sound of oars in the silence as a rowboat comes slowly out and then goes back is truly worth all the years of sorrow that are to come. Sorrow everywhere, slaughter everywhere. If babies are not starving someplace, they are starving somewhere else, with flies in their nostrils. But we enjoy our lives because that's what God wants. I always wonder in our Buddhist context, when I use that word God, it really doesn't mean a man somewhere sitting on a cloud. It's the mystery. But we enjoy our lives because that's what the mystery wants. Otherwise, the mornings before summer dawn would not be made so fine. The Bengal tiger would not be fashioned so miraculously well. The poor women at the fountain are laughing together between the suffering they have known and the awfulness in their future, smiling and laughing while somebody in the village is sick. There is laughter every day in the terrible streets of Kolkata, and the women laugh in the cages of Mumbai. If we deny our happiness, resist our satisfaction, we lessen the importance of their deprivation. We must risk delight. We must risk delight. We can do without pleasure, but not without delight, not enjoyment. We must have the stubbornness to accept our gladness in the ruthless furnace of this world. To make injustice the only measure of our attention is to praise the devil. My favorite line is this: if the locomotive of the Lord runs us down, we should give thanks that the end at least had magnitude. We must admit that there will be music despite everything. We stand at the prow again of a small ship anchored late at night in the tiny port, looking over to the sleeping island. The waterfront is 3 shuttered cafes and 1 naked light burning. To hear the faint sound of oars in the silence as a rowboat comes slowly out and then goes back is truly worth all the years of sorrow that are to come. There is dukkha, O monks. So let's do what we know to do in the face of everything. Let's land here in the present moment. And everything else can fall away. The news from Florida, or the family news, the tension in relationships, that nagging depression or anxiety. We drop into the body, into this body right here. It is so stunningly alive. It always has been. But mostly we live in the mind, in stories, in trance states. But here it is, right, in its full, living, 3D Technicolor aliveness, the life of the hands. The life of the face, that which we take to be the face. And the life of breathing, that sacramental exchange of gases that we do with the world all day. We are not separate from the world, we are it. And let's take up mindfulness of in-breathing and out-breathing, either with the rising and falling of the chest and abdomen, or at the nostrils. Going beneath and before fantasy to be with the actual sensations of life. Sati, mindfulness, heart mindfulness. Remembering to remember to be aware. And we make a choice, a strategic choice. I intend to be aware of in-breathing and out-breathing as a vehicle to make everything else more visible, more known, more knowable. So when the mind wanders, when one of those trance states comes into the ascendant, before long, maybe in a microsecond, maybe in a few minutes, maybe in a few weeks, there's a waking up, and one realizes, whoa, my intention was to stay with the breath. And so we have the opportunity to reestablish presence with in-breathing and out-breathing. We also have the opportunity to notice what it was that pulled us away. There are the 5 hindrances, of course: desire and aversion, restlessness, sloth and torpor, and doubt. They can come in packs. Restlessness and desire, or restlessness and aversion. There's also the phenomenon of mood. Moods which color everything. To be in depressed mood makes for a depressed world. To be in an uplifted, loving, compassionate mood fills the world with love and compassion. We perceive through the mood. This being true, it behooves us to check out the mood in the morning when we wake up from sleep. To set ourselves free from identification with the mood. Each breath has a beginning. Let's be present for these births, these beginnings. We learn a beautiful and delicate balancing act. Which lies between full concentration on the breath to the suppression of everything else, and being lost in all the various impulses of the mind, the moods, the emotions, the memories, the plans. We develop the stability to be present, to be awake, which then allows significant concentration on the breath and the sensations of breathing. And also the ability to notice the emotional realm when emotions are present. Our task and direction on our journey is not to escape the world. It is instead to embrace the world. And the world comes in polarities: happy, sad, success, failure, fame, disrepute, sickness, health. And these vicissitudes, praise and blame, these are out of control. Birth and death. Concentration and the restless mind. Mindfulness and lost in the trance. It really serves us well to have love and compassion for ourselves, and therefore for others as we make our way through the vicissitudes of life. And so we practice sometimes while sitting in meditation, breathing in some blessing. May I be really happy. May today be a day of equanimity and ease. Breathing out, may it be so for my loved ones. May it be so for the persons who are part of this gathering this morning. I really long to be happy and at ease and to love myself. May it be so. Breathing in a blessing for yourself. And there's any number of ways to do this. You could imagine you're breathing in the love of human kindness, or you could imagine that your heart fills with golden light, or that you're held in the arms on the lap of the Buddha or Kuan Yin, or any visualization. It's all about the intention. I really want to love myself. May I be happy. May I forgive myself for my many failings over a lifetime. And on the out-breath, think of a loved one, wish them well. Think of some loved ones who's hurting or sick. Surround them with white or golden light and bless them. Don't hesitate to be very generous with yourself. Wrap any unworthiness in more love. One tradition in the Buddhist teachings is to imagine a wave of love going out from you, you as the center of the universe, to the north. And if directions aren't part of your makeup, just choose a direction. Call that north. And then to the south, the opposite direction. May all beings in the southern direction, beings of the air, the earth, and the waters, may all beings who know birth and death awaken and be free from suffering. Beings to the east, without distinction, no good guys and bad guys and any of that, just all beings, beings to the west of us, to the northeast and the northwest and the southeast and the southwest. In fact, in all directions. Imagine your body as a beacon broadcasting loving kindness, broadcasting compassion. May all beings who are lost in confusion and identification with these bodies that come and go, may we all awaken to our true great nature. And please now let us become aware of the entire body. One glimpse, one glance. And be aware of how the body is separate from the environment around it, apparently. And now bringing awareness to the eyes, and participate lovingly and with awakeness in the next phase of the journey, which is opening the eyes and seeing. Seeing. And then maybe a little stretch. Yeah. Thank you for joining me this morning. I had a conversation recently. It's kind of an ongoing conversation over years with a person who's in a 50-year marriage where now the husband has been diagnosed with an inoperable liver cancer. And these are not people who have spent their life turning toward the pain, turning toward reality. They've been very engaged in avoiding it and pretending that things are all fine when they're not. And of course, we all do some of that. I feel like I've been waking up to that for years, decades maybe. But I was struck. I've encountered this, of course, before many times. I was struck by how much work this woman needs to do in order to maintain her denial of what's happening and the anguish of what's happening. And how much frantic talk there needs to be. And I thought of what a difference it is to stop and sit with regularity, with the intention, I want to develop some concentration, and I want to open up to what really is happening. Now, it's difficult to do this because when we do so, we actually start feeling what's really going on. And often, and true for me, there's a backlog of denied childhood trauma and denied suffering from adulthood. And it's a huge undertaking. What a strange thing. It's the opposite of intoxication and overwork, and it's I intend to be here and be awake to what's really happening. And I intend to do the grieving I need to do to be really alive. And if I allow that grieving to really happen, then I get to have the joy, because there's one rheostat, there's one dimmer, big dimmer switch, which is we can shut ourselves down or we can open ourselves up. And if we open ourselves up, we'll have both poles. And then we'll understand great art and theater, and we'll understand the incredible polarities in which we live, birth and death, and the anguish which is in life, and the incredible joy. So that it's interesting to me how this simple practice, mindfulness of breathing and being open to whatever else happens, is such a life-giving, life-affirming practice. All emotions, this is a big statement, all emotions have a physiologic component, a correlate. Emotions exist, they are bioelectronic phenomena that exist within the body that then we experience. And so one of the ways we can go about becoming more attuned to our emotions and to live more and more in reality is to find out where, like if there's a sadness, where does this sadness exist in the body? Or if there's a welling up behind the eyes or a tightness in the throat, to go in that direction. What is this? What is there an emotion which is part of this? Same with tightness in the gut, or a clenching of the jaw, or a tightening of the arm with the intention to strike, or that it really behooves us to learn how to embrace and really attend to the emotional life, which is a body-mind phenomenon. It exists in physiology and also in thought and in affect. So continuing in this way on mindfulness of what it is to be a human being and embracing the realm of our emotions. Hopelessness, despair, joy, happiness, ecstasy, love, compassion, equanimity. So that's the Dharmet today, continuing on embracing embracing being human. So among announcements, please remember the 1st of August, there's a little retreat from 9 to 3, I think, with Kendall Summers and myself. You can find information about that, I think, on the website, certainly in the digest. And if you're not on the PIMC listserv, I encourage you to do that. You can get there by going to the website, or you could write Avi at portlandinsight.org and ask him to put you on the list. That will also work very admirably. And Jim, when's your Qigong? Soon. Can't hear you. Oh, wait a minute. I'll see why.
With the registration information, we'll be sitting from 9 to 1 with some poetry, Qigong, and just quiet sitting. Another way of rebuilding and renewing and going back to the source.
Great.
That's 9 o'clock on the 18th. Yes, 18th. Thank you.
And I invite you to feel your way into the effect that these teachings and this broadcast has on your life, on your being. And if it is in fact affecting you, and you're not already, why not go to the portlandinsight.org website and participate in the financial well-being of the community, to make an ongoing contribution. A monthly contribution is the best, but anything helps, and it really helps to practice that generosity. Helps ourselves. So I want to open to you with one last thing, which is that we have a PIMC board meeting this morning at 8. I've delayed it to 8:05, but I will need to end this meeting to open that meeting soon after 8. So, do you have something to share, or a question, or a song?
I have something to share, Robert.
It's Tim Blood.
Your wonderful book arrived from the publisher yesterday. Yes, folks, it is real. And Robert, thank you. It's just a gift to the world. I've read about a third of it, the first chapter. I mean, if someone reads this and doesn't start meditating, I don't understand, because it's a wonderful, wonderful, gentle, informed, compassionate invitation to meditate, something we could share with a friend who wonders what this is all about, and just a beautiful summary of your teachings about at least meditation, and I know there's more, so thank you.
Thank you. I have yet to send out we haven't done the book launch yet. You're sneaking ahead. But it's coming any day soon. There will be an announcement to the community. And
well, you said it was available at the publisher, who I find is here in Eugene.
Yeah.
So maybe I just got a second-day delivery on it or something.
Whip and stock, yeah.
Thank you.
It's pretty, isn't it? They did a nice job on the cover. Yeah.
Very nice.
Very nice. Yay.
Very lovely. Thank you.
Show the back. Show the back.
Lots of good stuff from Jack Cornfield and Peter Moore up at Brightonbush.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
It's nice to hear the positive feedback, of course, because little Bobby's expecting people to say, "Oh my God, why did you bother writing this? I mean, this has all been said so many times before." I said, a year ago, maybe more, I was working away on the book and stalling, and Jennifer, I forget, Jennifer and I were in conversation. I said, well, you know, what if people read it and they discover I really am a charlatan? And she just shot back without a second of hesitation, Robert, you have over 400 hours on YouTube. They already know you're a charlatan. If that's someone's opinion, that's going to be their opinion. It's funny. And then my projection with Jack Cornfield. Well, what about it? You know, if Jack reads it, and you know, he'll see, you know, how blah blah blah. And and she said, Robert, Jack will never read your book. he has better things to do than that. That's so funny. The self, you know, the yeah. Yeah, he wrote a nice little line. Beautiful. Thanks. Anybody else before we run out of time?
Jim, I've got a poetry question. I'd like to know the name of that poem again. And also, I mean, these poems you're reading are so interesting, so good. Is that, how do you do it? Do you like read thousands of poems every day and pick out a few, or where do they come from?
You know, Jim, I have been gathering these poems for 25 or 30 years. And every now, most of my poems come from someone finds one and sends it to me, really. And there's a few that are stock in trade. You know, I've used them many, many times on retreats, and I have them. It's the highest use of the Apple system, because I have my poetry on my phone, my iPad, and my computer, and the cloud. So it's always there.
And what was this one called again, and who was it by?
I will post it to the listserv. It's by Jack Gilbert, and it's called A Brief for the Defense. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, what? Yeah, A Brief for the Defense. I'll post it to the listserv. I'll do it right now. In fact, here we go. This is a nice feature of the Portland. What is it? It's called Connections. Connections at portlandinsight.org. A brief for the defense.
Robert, I also posted a link on chat for some mindfulness poetry that I discovered in the last year. That's another treasure. There's a lot of overlap, but
Great.
It's another place to find poetry.
Terrific.
Morning, Robert. It's Trisha.
Trisha, hello.
Hey. That poem, I really appreciated it. It touched me a lot, and the one line particularly, and I'm not going to be able to quote it exactly, but something about unless we are happy, it doesn't kind of like do justice to all of the suffering. It's kind of towards the end. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, it's right here. It's if we deny our happiness, resist their satisfaction, we lessen the importance of their deprivation. That line. We must risk delight. We can do without pleasure, but not without delight.
Yeah, it's the part about it doesn't do justice to their suffering. That part has, that's what I hear a lot, but it always seems like a justification of things to me. It's kind of, and it goes back to this guilt that how can I be so happy? How can my life be so good when there's so much suffering in the world? How can I not spend my time trying to relieve the suffering and just wallow in my own happiness when all of this is going on? And this idea of, well, it's happening anyway, and I might as well be happy. It somehow just doesn't touch that for me, that guilt about my own good life. Can you speak to that?
It brings up an odd association. When I was among the monks in Burma for a week, they were so happy. I mean, there was this happiness amongst them. And whenever they posed for pictures, they looked dour, like, really. And Tangpulu Sayadaw came, the Mahasi Sayadaw came to Ruth Dennison's place, and I had, at that point, a camera with a long telephoto lens. And he and the monks were waiting for lunch, and I got a picture of him guffawing, just like, and I had an 8x10 of that blown up on my altar at home 6 months later. And 2 of his monks came to visit, and they saw that picture, and they said, "Where did you get that?" And he wouldn't like that, and you shouldn't have that. And I asked the question, why is it that you guys always look like death warmed over when you pose for photos, but behind the scenes you're very happy? And they said, interestingly, it would be unseemly to be happy in a world where there is so much suffering. And I thought that was really interesting.
That's exactly the feeling.
Right. And the fact, why not? Why not be this in this moment? I have the privilege of enough breakfast and this moment with you, and why not delight in that? It doesn't mean the other doesn't exist, but what's happening here is this. And so if I import, I should never feel happy, I should always feel bad, I should always be overworking to help alleviate suffering so that I'm a zombie, it doesn't work like that. Now, it's not going off and just seeking my own pleasure or your own pleasure. You, I know, are deeply committed and do lots of work for the well-being of all beings. And it's also possible in other moments to not be in that at all. It ceases to exist. I know my teacher, Rastropol in India, I don't know whether it was personal to me or what, but he must have said 15 times, "Robert, when I meditate, I don't think of you." I don't think of anyone. He goes into his meditation and there's just this, which is such a relief. More shall be revealed, I guess, huh?
Thank you.
I know you well enough to know you have such a capacity for happiness and joy. Why not really enjoy that?
I do.
But then you feel guilty.
I feel like, okay, well, I've gotten this much happiness and joy. Now I need to give back in equal measure, or something like that.
It's a little Christian, I think.
Yes, 12 years at Catholic school will do that too.
I see. Yes. Now we have a better track on what to do. Good. It's, may I be bold, it's time to come down off the cross.
One nail at a time.
Do it all at once. Just be free.
Yes. Robert, thank you for the opportunity of sneezing. Sneezing
Good.
is an opportunity for full awakening and letting go of all the stuff we don't need.
Yes.
I will sneeze differently from now on.
It's a good thing. All right, we have time for one more sharing, perhaps. Just occurred to me. So 14, 1, 2, 3, 28 days from now, the Tough Shed will arrive. That's pretty soon. Today I'm going to put up the tent again because Jen will be coming home in a couple of days and I want to get that set up. But so it's soon. Thank you. All right, I should go so I'm not too late for our meeting. I will unmute. Thank you all for coming and for participating. Thanks for that very useful question too, Tricia. And sharing, being vulnerable. So are there kids?
Well,
Yes, there are.
I'm looking for them.
we have to
They
take.
are us.
Oh, they are us. We found the enemy and they are us. All right. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Goodbye, dear friends. Have a lovely day.
You tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Well.
Goodbye, everybody. How nice. Goodbye, Alicia. Okay. Oh, thank you on Facebook and YouTube for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day.